Okay. Hello, everyone. Hello, all knitting folks.
Hey there.
We're going to wait a few minutes because we think a few more people are going to show up right at the hour. And so, yep. So it is a beautiful day here. We're in the middle of the day, and it is actually a good day for sunglasses. And we don't have a beach right here, but there is one on the lake down the way where I could go and knit. And you're at 7, so it's still light outside, though, I'm sure.
That's right. It's still light outside, but it's been the hottest day of the year so far. We've had 35 degrees. Oh, I don't know how much that is in Fahrenheit. Does anyone know? Let me quickly convert this. 35 Celsius.
95.
95. You're right. You're right. So it's where we live, we don't usually have this temperature. Plus, we are living in a valley, bit of a valley, and the humidity sits here in the valley.
Oh.
It's really grueling. And there is a thunderstorm coming. So if you start hearing a loud noise, it's the rain coming down on the windows, because I'm sitting in the attic also. At this temperature, I'm sitting in the attic because my family is occupying the rest of the house. So yeah, let's hope that the connection stays stable and everything.
Good. Okay. Okay. I think we'll go ahead and get started. And before we got started, Melanie and I were talking about the first time we collaborated, which was, we were trying to figure out when it was, and it was 2016. And she did on the spice market, which she actually has that sample with her. Ours is at a trunk show, but it is there. Yeah.
Yes.
And so lovely. It has, and it's a knit that people continue to do. And it's been a perennial favorite for people.
That's great to hear. Makes me very happy to hear that it's been so successful for you also, and that so many people used it to try out your yarn and make beautiful knits from it. Yeah,
the thing that I love is when not only I and my company are successful, but especially when the designer is also successful, because it is about both of us collaborating and being successful and, you know, moving forward and making a living at this. And, you know, it's, so tell me, we contacted you to come up with another sample with another pattern, and we sent you yarn, and you came up with Beachy Keen. And so how did this come about? How did you think about this?
How it all happened, you mean? How it all came together? Well, I think Helen and I were emailing way before the pandemic about a new pattern. Helen, isn't that true? I remember
it was like the month before the pandemic. We were talking, we had developed some test colors, and then it was March 2020, and it just left my head. I was
don't worry. I mean, everyone had other things on their mind in that time. So I also didn't get back to you in that time because life was just crazy. And then once things calmed down a bit, like I want to say a year ago or 10 months ago, must be something like that. We got in touch again, Helen and I, and we wanted to pick that thread up again. And Helen asked me for any specific color range that I would like to work with. And I told her my wish to work with a set that goes from bluish over to orange, yellow, mustard, something like that. And Helen was like, oh my God, we have that set actually already. So Babs already developed something in that direction. And she showed me a photo and I knew instantly that, oh my God, yeah, that exactly. That is just what I had in my mind. And so she sent me this set. And then, you know, I did it pretty much the same way I do it with all my designs. I like to have the yarn here first before thinking about what to do with it, because every yarn has its specific characteristics and its, patterns, stitch patterns, for example, that tend to work very well with this yarn, and others who might not work that well with the yarn. So that's, just like it is. I mean, think about a mohair thread, silk mohair thread does not lend itself to be turned into a cabled sweater, for example. It doesn't mean that that yarn is not good or so. No, it's just there's such a wide variety of stitch patterns, and I always want to make sure I find a good one for the yarn that I use. So I first had the yarn here and it was sitting a bit on my desk so that every time I pass, I am reminded of it, and it has some time to sit at the back of my head so I can just think about it. And then eventually I start swatching with an idea. And I tried out different stitch patterns, and I still have the swatch actually that I made for Beachy Keen. So I don't even weave ends in on my swatches, but this is the mini version. So the very first idea of that shawl coming to life. And I didn't even swatch all the colorways. It was just really to get a feeling for how the yarn behaves, how the colors come together, also how the two background colors come together, because I had asked for two different background colors. Helen, maybe you remember the darker one and the brighter one. And I wasn't sure first, maybe I should only use one background color for the shawl, or maybe the brighter or maybe the darker one. And then I had the idea, okay, I could just actually use both of them for an extra, how do you say, thing of interest. And I really liked how this swatch came together. And so I went with it, and then I knitted the shawl, and then my usual process, I run a test knit with amazing test knitters from around the globe. And I have the patterns tag edited, of course, and then I take the photos, and then I write the pattern and I put it all together in a PDF until it's finally ready to be published. And that was the day before yesterday. That was on Thursday. So that is the process for me, more or less. Yes.
I love the two background colors. I think that adds so much interest to the and it means that we've had fun in putting other color sets together, because
I saw them. Such beautiful kids. Yes. Like, it's really a playground. No, it allows you to play around a bit.
Right. So this is Scenic Overlook, which is a speckled set, and we put these two colors with it. But the thing is people may have a gradient set at home, and so play with it and see what looks right.
Yeah,
and
with this one, we extended the gradient. We picked a darker purple and a darker blue. But Melanie, your original one has two lovely neutrals with it. So there are all different ways you can go. And, we've had people say, well, I love this gradient, but I don't love the colors you've paired with it. Can you suggest something else? And that's been fun too, looking at things with other people's views.
Right. That is also something I love about test knitting, because it is the first time knitters get hands on a pattern and seeing. Before that point of time, I only always know my own sample in my own color combination, yarn combination. So seeing it knit up for the first time by a handful of people is amazing, because they usually come up with great ideas that are unexpected also for me. maybe they choose color combinations I wouldn't have thought of. And I have to say, wow, this is such a great idea. And yeah, it's very inspiring. And I imagine it's a similar process for you putting young kids together.
Yeah. Yes. And I read through that thread on Ravelry, your test thread, and your test knitters are so creative with their colors. And I love it because they really do put colors together that I wouldn't have thought about. And it's like, I love that when people are willing, you know, we know what this is going to look like, but it's fun to see what other ideas are. And
exactly.
so,
yes. And I really, 2 days ago, Helen sent me pictures of the young kids that you had put together for Beachy Keen, and they took my breath away. So very, very a wide variety of different color combinations paired with all sorts of main colors. And yeah, that was some very muted, some more on the brighter side. So I love that. Absolutely.
yeah, we found that, there are people who absolutely adore neutrals, and that those sets often outsell everything else. Not always, but and then there are other times that other sets sell well, like the Fun Fair set has sold well. It's summertime, it's and it really, and we put the 2 purples with it, but you could certainly change those up to other colors and have fun with, orange or
blue.
Yeah,
Blue,
some,
or
as
neutrals. If
yeah,
you want the
or
fun fair to really pop.
Right, or neutrals. And it's that's the fun part about knitting something in the summer. And sometimes in the winter, come January, late January or February, you're like, oh my God, I need something really crazy bright because my eyes need brightness.
Absolutely. I've had that feeling after this long winter. It's been such a long winter. It took forever. So that was also especially nice to make something colorful after that period of gray. I mean, I love the grays. If you look at my designs, you will find a lot of grays. But at that point of time, I was really embracing the colors. Yes.
So tell us about your knit-alongs that you're doing.
So I have a very busy group on Ravelry, which is moderated by a handful of awesome knitters. And of course, I also chime in. It's also the place where the test knits are happening, for example. And we are running knit-alongs on a regular base. This past year, we ran knit-alongs for not for all of my new pattern releases, because that would be just too much. We couldn't handle that. We pick a few out and do knit-alongs for them. So this is what we have done for the past 1.5 years, I would say. And this year we are switching back to something we did in the past, and we will only run knit-alongs that group certain patterns together. For example, cozy knits or colorful knits or knitting with gradients. So we are choosing one topic and then a handful of patterns that go well together with that topic. And if you visit my group on Ravelry, you will, on the first page, find a link to a calendar. I put that in the chat, like KAL calendar, because it's for the knit-alongs, and you can see which knit-along runs when and things like that. Cool. Yes, and everyone is invited. So we are not actually planning a dedicated knit-along for Beachy Keen, but I'm sure it will fit into one of the upcoming ones. But Babs, you just told me that you are planning a knit-along, actually.
Yes, we are planning a knit-along, and we are starting that knit-along on
2 Fridays from yesterday.
So
2 weeks
weeks,
from
2
yesterday.
weeks from yesterday, which will allow everybody to get their yarn, get it wound, get ready. And then every Friday, the details are,
We are going to be sending a separate newsletter with the details. I'm putting the sign up link for that in the chat. So
Okay.
that's a list that will just be for the knit along. You don't have to sign up for our regular newsletter to be on that one.
Right.
And you don't have to sign up for that one if you just want the regular
Right.
newsletter.
so the voice, the disembodied voice is Helen. And Helen is the office manager and an incredible knitter and knows everything. Just knows everything. So, but yes, we're doing a knit along and we will run it for 6 weeks from that date. And we will be talking about knitting. We'll talk about how to deal with the stitch pattern and just other questions, how to weave in ends and that sort of thing. We will also have Veronica in that chat most of the time. And can we spotlight Veronica real quick? And
buddy.
and she is working on, she's about a third of the way through.
I'm about ready to start the second background color on my shawl. So I got to sneak in ahead of time. Don't worry, I didn't get the pattern on Thursday. I'm not that fast. So I got a test knitting copy of the pattern and was able to get started. And yeah, I'm about halfway through the shawl. And I really have been enjoying knitting this because it's a really nice balance between paying attention for these contrast color stripes and then just easy garter stitch cruising along in between. So I'll be there in the knit along most of the time to help answer any questions, give you some tips and tricks. I like to weave in my ends as I go, so I have some tips for that. And I did a little tutorial video on the stitch pattern. For those of you that want to see it in video format, we're ready to share that with you. So it's been fun. I am doing this in the original colorway. I know, Babs, did you actually cast on?
Okay. I cast on and then, the dogs had a problem. So,
Yeah.
but I'm doing the shaved ice color, which is the purple to blue, which is sort of one of my favorite family of colors. And so I'll be way further along. So, I expect this weekend I'll have some dedicated time to work on that. So yeah, I'm excited to get moving.
And Veronica, I'm actually thinking of doing one inspired by your friend's idea of making every stripe a different color in an effort to use up my entire bin of yummy 2-ply leftovers.
Yeah, I brought my knitting in progress to my knitting group. We we meet weekly and we get, coffee and cake. And one of my girlfriends who collects yarn. I'm not sure how much she knits. She's like, what you should do? You should make a kit where every single stripe is a different color. And I was like, oh my goodness, that's so many colors. But great. Also a fun way to use, leftovers and mix more and more colors, all your favorite colors.
And in the beginning, the stripes are really very short, so you can use tiny leftovers.
Right. Yeah, absolutely.
Great idea. I like that.
And it's a good idea for festive sets as well. Although it's 36
pieces,
right?
Mm-hmm.
It still would you could use a festive set and use
There
Yeah,
was
just
Or-
cycle your way back
Yeah.
around to the beginning again. Yeah.
Exactly. So the mini bundles, the mini skeins
Yeah.
would work
Yeah.
nicely. So we are sponsoring a giveaway with our or two with our knit along. And I know we're also giving Melanie some goodies to give away. So there will be prizes.
Yeah, multiple opportunities for prizes.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Thank you for sponsoring Young Kids to give away, Babs. That's really awesome. And my giveaways are already running, so they are not tied to a knit along or so. And you can join in on my Instagram or on my Facebook. And I will put the links in the chat. And it is easy to take part. You just need to comment and tell us about your favorite destination to be on holiday. And it's so much fun to read through the comments because there are some great ideas and it makes you want to pack your bags instantly and book a flight. Yeah, it's all about these summer vibes of traveling and discovering new places. And yes, so I will write the links in the chat onto my Instagram and to my Facebook.
So couple of the other colors. This is Scenic Overlook, which is a speckled set of a gradient. And the colors we put with this are Imperial and Franklin?
Dark Perseus.
Dark Perseus. So it again goes to the, extends this. Okay, so this is a play on the spice market. It's called Spice It Up.
It's a speckled version.
Yes, it's a speckled version. We sometimes think, so we shouldn't start from scratch on absolutely everything. And so we have done some of our very popular sets and added speckles to them. And so this is white peppercorn, which is the original background color, and fleur de sel. So these are the two that we're suggesting. But of course, if you wanted to change, we'd be happy to make changes, or you know.
Yeah, if you think of your own color set, you don't have
Right.
to talk with us. You are more than welcome to pick your colors on your
Right.
own if you like.
Right. And I think, then there was Gone Fishing, which is,
Oh, wow. It's very beautiful. I like that a lot.
and so these are very close, but they are different. This is Suspense and Barrel, and it puts those together. But if you wanted neutrals, we could do that. So those are some of what we've put together. But one of the sets that one of your testers did was used our citrus.
It is the orange yellowish one. Yes.
Yeah, and it was so what we call a straight gradient. It is a dilution of the most of the strongest color, and so those also work very nicely.
I shared her project on my Instagram today.
Yeah,
It must be it, no?
yeah,
Yes. So very summery,
Yeah.
very joyful and good mood and holiday vibes.
yeah.
Yeah.
And I know not everybody loves orange, but boy, there's nothing else than, well, I guess I'm starting to wear orange more. I don't know.
We're sold out of citrus though, so you'll have to fit that into the dye schedule before we
Okay.
can make up sets.
Yeah, we are, and we are into pre-order on many of the sets. When we indicate dates think in the last 4 or 5 or 6 years, we have not missed many dates. A couple of them were a day or two late. And if we are going to be late, we let you know, because this is not something, this is something I take very seriously, that, you know, when you're expecting it, that's when it needs to ship by. So anyway, so are there some questions people have?
We just had a question. The last few solid bands of the shawl in the pattern are in aqua and don't look like the dark gray of the main color. Was a third main color added towards the end?
In Beachy Keen, I suppose you're talking about. But no, there was no third main color. This is the end of the border of the shawl. And here I simply switched it and used some of the contrasting colors as main color. So that is all the trick. And
So,
it
yeah,
provides a nice little accent towards the border of the shawl, towards the end of it. Right.
Yeah. So it was a way of using up some of the color, that yarn that was still left.
Right, exactly. Because, you know, the rows are, as we just said in the beginning, the rows are very short, and then they grow longer. So you have a not all skeins or not all stripes consume the same amount of yarn, and because you cycle through, some of the skeins use more and others use less, and so that is why I went with this little trick in the end.
And the beauty of this shawl is that when you run out of yarn, you stop knitting.
Exactly.
Which is my favorite way.
I love that. I love that too. I love making a lot of the given yardage. And if you run out of yarn, it means that you are losing a little looser than I do. And that is fine, because if you run out of yarn, it means your shawl already has a generous size, because you are knitting a little looser than I do. So don't worry about the shawl being too small. It's, as you said, Babs, it's completely fine, and you can stop anytime.
Right.
Yeah. And if you have more yarn, if you're knitting tighter than I do and you have more left towards the end of the shawl, you can just go on by adding repeats to make it larger. So it's a very a pattern that's very easy to adjust to your wishes in terms of size.
And forgiving, and you might say.
Right. You could also make like a toddler version, or I don't know, if you have a 6, 7, 8-year-old grandson or something like that in that age, you could just make a smaller version of it. Right.
So somebody said something about fun in the sun.
Yeah, I'm gonna run in and grab a couple of sets that we didn't bring over originally.
So yes, Helen gets to run, and
just make a mental note of which ones we don't have, so that I can try and just make one trip. Okay, so Pfeiffer Beach and Fun in the Sun.
Yeah, I did forget to pick up Pfeiffer Beach. So yeah, that one is a neutral and is very nice. And so
Getting another, someone says, is it an easy pattern?
I think once you get the stitch pattern figured out, it is an easy pattern. And we will have a video. So Melanie, how did you weave in your ends?
I did it like Veronica, you mentioned that you are weaving in as you go, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Yes.
I do them as I go. Do you do them as you go?
Yes, so do I, because after a while it gets on my nerves to have a work in progress with so many loose ends. So I would just then, I don't know, like every day or so, I weave in the ends of that day. And it makes knitting a lot easier because you don't have all these loose ends. And also in the end, you don't have that huge pain of weaving in that many ends. So that is something I always do. You just need to keep in mind that if there is a chance you might have to undo your shawl at any point of time, it's a pain if the ends are woven in. So I would encourage you to first make sure you get the hang of the stitch pattern so that you are feeling safe and there is no option of having to undo parts of your shawl. And then if you are all settled, then weave in ends as you go. And there was a question on how I weave in my ends. I'm using a very messy method. I still have my swatch here. I don't have a needle, so I can't demonstrate it, but I can explain how I do it. I use it. So the thing is, I think most people make a science out of weaving their ends, and plus they are also a bit afraid the ends might come loose, and then so they weave in forever, and it's way too long or way too much, because the more end you weave in, the more obvious it will be on your shawl. So it's best to just weave in as much as you need, but not more. And I use a pointy darning needle, so one that has really a super pointy tip. And let's say I wanted to weave in this last end. I would pinch the fabric here like this, pinch it together a bit, and then just insert the needle for, I don't know, 1 centimeter or so. And because it is pointy, you can pierce the threads, so you can to say it.
It goes through each strands. It doesn't.
Exactly. Right. And then just for 1 centimeter or so, and then I will do it again in the opposite direction, and maybe once back again. So 1, 2, 3, and that's it. And then I will spread the fabric a bit out so that the last end gets pulled into the fabric, and then I will cut it, and then it's done. It takes me, I don't know, 20 seconds or so for each end. So it is not taking that much time. Plus, it is not very obvious because it is such a small amount of yarn that you're using to weave in, and that kind of hides it in the fabric very well. So you do it right on the edge, a bit towards a bit inwards. So a bit in that direction. Or let's say I wanted to weave in that bright blue thread here, one of these two, and then I would just pinch or pierce the needle through the blue. So I would stay in the color and not enter a different color area. And then just like 1 centimeter in that direction, centimeter back, and then centimeter in that direction again. It's very messy. It's messy, but it looks so good, and it's so few work. And I always do it like that.
So, and Veronica does Stephen's method.
Yeah, so I do something a little different. When I start a new color, I hold the yarn double, and so I knit it together with itself into the first row. I really hate weaving in ends. I hate getting that needle out, so I do it that way. And then Stephen West has this technique he calls weave in Stephen. If you've done any color work knitting and you can knit with the yarn in both hands, you just carry that color you're weaving in behind your knitting.
But you don't weave at all.
I don't actually get the needle out at all, except for the first one.
Yes.
Because I know myself, I know that I would be frustrated at the end. So I just do as many as I can as I go. So
yeah, perfect. I mean, there are many great techniques, but weaving in ends, really, who does love weaving in ends? In all the workshops that I gave and all the knitters I met, I had one lady actually who said, "Oh, weaving in ends is the best thing on the project," and everyone was like, "What are you talking about?" Because usually it's not the most popular part of the project. But it's great to have techniques that ease that work a bit, right?
So I'm going to show.
That one goes with engraved, which is drying, so we're missing
Okay.
one of the colors.
So we're missing one of the colors. This is Mojave Parks. And engraved is a golden color, a lighter, sort of around this, between these two, something like that. So it is that, and then Fun in the Sun is this set and uses Quicksilver and pewter as the two colors.
This was my favorite set, Babs, the Fun in the Sun.
Yes, we're on pre-orders now, but once we get cut off, I will be mailing you one.
Oh, don't worry. Yeah, no need to hurry. No need to hurry.
There's that. And then this is Pfeiffer Beach. And it is uses white peppercorn and lurch. So, and I really love these colors as well. So,
And the video isn't great for showing colors, but we have nice photos of all of them on the website.
right. Right. So, there was a
We
question.
had a question for Melanie about where you get your inspiration just in general. Nature, architecture, art.
Yeah, all of it.
And nature is architectural, I think.
Right, right. Actually, I think all that we see in and all that we experience in our everyday life will inspire us in one way or another. And sometimes we don't even, you come up with an idea, but you come up with it. I mean, there is a reason why you come up with that particular idea. And sometimes it is something that you can't even remember that you saw a while ago, but it sits at the back of your head, at the back of your mind for a while, and then one day certain things, I don't know, fall together, or it clicks, and then there is a very concrete idea what to make from it. So I would really say from everything that we see, like fashion on the street, or yes, nature, art, architecture. So these are the, well, three most prominent fields probably for inspiration, but really also the small things, maybe something, I don't know, an unusual color combination, or something you see on the TV in your favorite TV show, someone is wearing something, or the way a shadow looks on a wall, or really it can be anything. And I think having your eyes wide open and being very attentive to your surroundings, and taking notes or photos of things that you find interesting and that inspire you does help a great deal, because if you don't keep track on them, they might also dissolve and they might vanish, but it's good to like keep a notebook and keep ideas, and try to remember them that way.
All right, we had a question for you, Babs, about what you mean by a speckled gradient.
Okay. So first of all, so basically what it means is that the yarn in the gradient is speckled, as opposed to, this is a tonal yarn, monochrome yarn. And then probably I'm gonna pull out of this. I'm gonna open this up, and so this has speckles on it. And so it will add, this has
Subtle speckles.
very subtle speckles. This is also subtle speckles, a little hard to see on this. But what it does is just add some interest. So the background is tonal, this part is tonal, and then there are little speckles on it. So.
And with the gradient sets, they do tend to be more subtle speckles than on something like Officer of the Paw, that is a blue color with pink and purple and blue speckles.
Because I want the colors to look good together across. And if I have crazy colors on one and crazy on this, it's just sort of my color philosophy. So.
There was also a question about if this is an easy or beginner friendly kind of pattern.
I would say once you've gotten the hang on that stitch pattern, yes. And also that stitch pattern is not difficult, but you need to understand it in the beginning. But this is the same like in every pattern that you knit. It is basically a 3-stitch cable. So you have 3 stitches and you are crossing them like this. So you're changing the order of the stitches the order in which they are worked. And that is basically we can take a look at the swatch again. Maybe you can see that is crossing left and crossing right. This is nothing but a 3-stitch cable. And first you work a row where the stitches are crossed to one direction, and then in the following row into the other direction. And then that's it. And then, as Veronica just said, follows a section of plain garter stitch. So not much attention required. It absolutely qualifies for TV knitting, I would say. So at least that's what I did once everything was, once I had figured everything out. Like also, it is a triangle shape. So you start with very few stitches here in the beginning. Or let me use the real shawl to show that. So these rows in the beginning, they are tiny. It's like, I don't know, 8, 9, 10 stitches, something like that. And then the stitch count grows. And that is done by adding stitches here at this edge. And at the same time, reducing stitches here. And all in all, the rate of increases is higher than the rate of decreases. And that's why the overall stitch count is growing. But it grows very slowly, but very steadily. So every row is like 1 or 2 stitches longer than the previous row.
Yes.
And that's it. So there is really nothing more to this shawl. So you have the increases and decreases to get the shape, and then the 3-stitch cable pattern for the crisscross thing.
Right. So I think, it's, you just have to, we've got the video, we have, if you're willing to try working through, if all you like is garter or stockinette, then, you may have difficulty, but it is not difficult. It is, but it's like anything, you just sort of have to figure how the stitches are, and then it's the same all the way through.
It's the same all the way through. Exactly. The entertaining thing which keeps you going is the change of colors, right? You always, it is this effect, oh, let me just finish one more stripe because I want to see, well, how that new color looks together with the other ones. And also, if you have problems with this pattern, I don't expect you to, but I mean, sometimes we have a knot in the brain and we need some guidance. In my group on Ravelry, there is also a pattern support thread, so anyone can ask a question there, and the people are super helpful and offer support.
Right.
Or you can join our knit along as well. We'll be having weekly meetings basically for 6 weeks where we can help with any questions, and we're planning after the first week, the first Friday meeting, we're planning a meeting on the next Tuesday, just in case anything came up over the weekend that you want a little help with before having another week of knitting.
Right. And the pattern's available on Ravelry. Is it available on your website as well?
Yes, it is. It is both on Ravelry and on the website. And it is available in English, German, and also in Spanish. So if we have any German or Spanish speakers here, then yes, you can choose your favorite language.
Oh, Lord. So any questions that anybody has, or any questions, Melanie, that you have?
I don't have any questions right now, but I would love to see some of the finished items from your knit along. So if you share them on, well, we have in my group on Ravelry, there is also a thread where you can post your finished items. And you can also tag me on Instagram at Merlind. I posted my Instagram in the chat a while ago. And yeah, I would love to see the finished items. So if you'd like to do me a favor, then tag me and alert me. That would be awesome.
Yeah, it's always fun to see the finished objects. Yeah, the
Right.
finished. Yeah. So does anybody in the audience have any questions? Okay, well, I don't have anything else that I can think of. We are recording this. We will be posting this after it's
Shortly.
up. Yeah, shortly. And it will, how do you notify people?
It's on our YouTube channel, which you can link from our website, or I'll put a link in the chat.
Yeah, I'll put it up on the blog so it'll be on the website. You can find it on our website.
Excellent. Someone asked about the pattern. Okay, Melanie put the Ravelry pattern link, and then let's put your website link in too, just in case anyone prefers shopping off Ravelry.
So we are not in the store today.
No, we just came in for the Zoom, and then we'll be going home for the rest of the day.
Right.
But, you can call Monday, and we'll be happy to chat with you then.
Right. So, okay. Thank you, everyone, for coming. It was a pleasure to talk with you, Melanie, and to
Likewise, Babs.
Yeah.
Thank you for organizing this. It's always fun to join Zooms like this. It's like a glimpse into everyone's projects and see the knitters who are actually making my designs or making my patterns. So this is one of the best parts in my job.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Thank you. Take care.
Take care, everyone. Bye.
Bye.